Alright, this is 8-4 notes. It's over your special products. So what this is, it's the squares of a sum and square of a difference. So if you look up here, you have this formula, or two formulas actually, that you can use. I am going, though, to teach you a different way, a little bit easier way that's more consistent with what we learned the previous week. So if you look, okay, anytime it's a squared, it just means that there's two of them. So for this first part, when you had a plus b squared, all that means is you're doing a plus b times a plus b. When you have a minus b squared, all that means is a minus b times a minus b. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to find the products of these special products, but we're going to use the same thing that we learned last week. Okay, now if you want to memorize this formula and plug in the a, plug in the ab, and plug in the b, and do it that way, more power to you. Like I said, I'm just going to show it to you a different way so that we can be more consistent and you're not really learning something new. We're just seeing it a different way. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with number one. So for number one, it says x minus 6 squared. So I want you to write on here, this is the same thing as x minus 6 times x minus 6. Okay, so this is what we learned last week, or on Monday actually. This is 8-3 and 8-2. So what we're going to do is your box method. Okay, so we have x minus 6 and we have x minus 6. X times x is x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. All you have to do is combine your like terms, which is the diagonal right here. So you have x squared minus 12x plus 36. There's nothing else you can combine, so that is your final answer. All right, number two, we have 3p plus 4 squared, so this is the same thing as 3p plus 4 times 3p plus 4. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the box method. So you have 3p plus 4, 3p plus 4, and we're going to go ahead and multiply this out. 3 times 3 is 9, p and p is p squared. 3 times 4 is 12, and you have a p. 4 times 3 is 12, don't forget the p. 4 times 4 is 16. And again, all you have to do is combine your like terms. So you have 9p squared, and then you have 12p plus 12p. 12 and 12 is 24, so 24 p's plus 16. And that's your final answer. All right, and so like I said, you can always pause this stuff, rewind it, whatever you need to do, because I only have so much time to make these. So 4x minus 5 squared, so that is 4x minus 5 times 4x minus 5. So we're going to go ahead and do our box. 4x minus 5, 4x minus 5. 4 times 4 is 16, x times x is x squared. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and you have your x. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, and you have your x. Negative 5 and negative 5 is a positive 25. Again, just combine your like terms, which are just those x's. So you have 16x squared minus 40x plus 25. Okay. Number 4. So this is the same thing as a plus 3 times a plus 3. Okay, and if you like the FOIL method from 8-2, you can stick with doing the FOIL method, but I know most of the kids like doing the box method. So a plus 3 times a plus 3. A times a is a squared. A times 3 is 3a. 3 times a is 3a, and 3 times 3 is 9. So again, combining your like terms, you end up getting a squared. 3 plus 3 is 6, so we have 6 a's plus 9. All right, number 5, same thing as 3 minus p times 3 minus p. So in my box, I have 3 minus p, 3 minus p. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times a negative p. So remember in this, there's a negative 1 in front, okay? Because that kind of helps with these problems. 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3, and you have a p. Negative 1 times 3 is a negative 3, and you have a p. negative 1, that's a positive 1. P times P is P squared. Now, this one's a little bit different because your 9 and P squared, they are flip-flopped. So you want your P squared to go first. Negative 3, you have a total of 6 negatives, and there's your P, and then you have a plus 9. Okay, number 6, these are getting fun. All right, we have x minus 5y times x minus 5y. So I'm going to do my box, x minus 5y, x minus 5y. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 5y, you have negative 5, and then put them in alphabetical order, so x and then y. Same thing, negative 5y times x, you have negative 5, put your variables in alphabetical order. Negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. Y times y is y squared. Okay, so again, you can combine these right here in the middle. So you will have x squared, negative 5, that's 10 negatives total, and those are x, y's, plus 25 y squared. There we go. Okay, there we go, number 7. Same thing as 8y plus 4 times 8y plus 4. So do your box method. 8y plus 4, 8y plus 4. 8 times 8 is 64. Y times y is y squared. 8 times 4 is 32, and then you have a y. 4 times 8 is 32, and you have a y. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so same process. There's nothing really new to this. 64y squared. 32 and 32, that will also get you 64. Yeah, 64 y's, and then you have 16. And that's your final answer. Okay, number 8. Same thing as 8 plus x times 8 plus x. So we have 8 plus x, 8 plus x. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times x is 8x. X times 8 is 8x. X times x is x squared. Okay, so what we have here, you want to do your x squared first. So x squared. 8 plus 8 is 16, so you have 16 x's, and then you have a 64. Okay. Number 9, we have 3a minus 2b. 3a minus 2b. So what you have here is your box method. You have 3a minus 2b and a 3a minus 2b. So we have 3 times 3, which is 9. A times a is a squared. 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6. A times b, put in alphabetical order, so it's ab. Negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6, alphabetical order, a and then b. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. B times b is b squared. Alright, so you can combine your like terms. So you have 9a squared, and then negative 6 and negative 6, that's a negative 12ab, and then plus 4b squared. Alright, I think we have one more row of this. We'll do 10 and 11 to be done with the first part, okay? So this one is going to be x minus 4y squared times x minus 4y squared. So in my box method, we have x minus 4y squared. We have x minus 4y squared. Okay, x times x is x squared. When you multiply these, remember there's like a positive 1 out in front, so 1 times negative 4 is a negative 4. Put it in alphabetical order, so you have x and then y squared. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Put in alphabetical order, x and then y squared. Negative 4 and negative 4 is a positive 16. Y squared and y squared is y to the 4th. Okay, so you only have your diagonal to combine your like terms, so we have x squared. Negative 4 is a negative 8, xy squared, and plus 16y to the 4th. Alright, last one like this. We have to do 2p plus 4r times 2p plus 4r. Almost out of space. R. Okay, so in my box, we're going to put 2p plus 4r, 2p plus 4r. 2 times 2 is 4. P times P is P squared. 2 times 4 is 8. Then you have P times R, so just put it in alphabetical order, so PR. 4 times 2 is 8. Then you have R times P, so put it in alphabetical order, PR. 4 times 4 is 16. R times R is R squared. All right, so you have this that you can combine. So we have 4P squared. 8 plus 8 is 16, so you have 16 of these things that are called PR, and then you have plus 16R squared. Okay, and that's all that we'll do on the front page. All right, so now you can flip it over to the back side. So now on this back side, if you notice on the front, we had either they were addition or it was subtraction. On the back side, we now have both addition and subtraction. So this is called the product of a sum and a difference, or you can call it the difference of squares. So again, you have a formula up here. If you like to memorize this, it's not that hard at all. Whatever A is, you square it. Whatever B is, you square it, and it's always going to be a minus sign. So I'm going to show you how to do this using your box method, and then I'll show you how to do it with the formula, since this one's a little bit simpler, or a little bit simple to remember, okay? So here, if you were multiplying x minus 4 times x plus 4, you would do your box method. You would have x minus 4 and x plus 4. X times x is x squared. X times negative 4x is negative 4x. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Okay? So what happens here when you combine your like terms is this will always, if it is a minus, okay, and a plus, this will always cancel out right here and be a zero pair. And since that's a zero pair, all you are left with is x squared minus 16. Okay, so if you remember your formula says you take whatever a is, so a is whatever you have up front. Okay, you take whatever a is and you square it. So if I were to rewrite this, then that would mean I'm taking x and I'm squaring it. And then you always have your minus sign. And then it says, okay, whatever's in the back, your b, so my b would be 4, you square it. And 4 squared is 16. So you see how we get the same answer either way. Okay, so if you want to do the box method, you can. And on some of these, we'll probably do both just to check. All right, so let's look at number 2. Okay, so your A for number 2. Whoops, did not want that. I want my highlighter. Okay, so the A for number 2 are these P's. All it says to do is you go ahead and you take P and you square it. Okay, B is this number behind. And because it's an addition and a subtraction, it will always be a minus sign. And you take whatever B is and you square it. So when you get this, you get P squared minus 4. Okay, if you want to check with your box method, P plus 2, P minus 2. P times P is P squared. P times 2 is 2P. Negative 2 times P is a negative 2P. Negative 2 times a positive 2 is a negative 4. So again, when you combine your like terms, that's a zero pair, so you end up with just P squared minus 4, which is what we have right here. So do you see how it's easier for this one to use the formula? Okay, so let's look at this one. This one, number 3, your A is 4x. So your formula says, okay, so what we want you to do is take 4x and you're going to square all of it. Then you say minus whatever your B is. Okay, so here's my B. I did it again. Go away, little thing. Okay. Okay, so whatever your B is. So here's B and here's B. And so what this says is you want to take B, which is 5, and you want to square that. Well, 4 squared is 16. X squared is x squared. Minus 5 squared is 25. Now, if you get something and you're not quite sure, you can always do your box method and check your answer. So we have 4x minus 5, 4x plus 5. 4 times 4 is 16. X times x is x squared. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and you have an x. 5 times 4 is 20, and you have an x. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Again, whenever you combine your like terms in your diagonal, those are going to zero pair out. So what you're left with is this 16x squared minus 25, and that's what we got. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the rest of these. Okay, so this one we have 2D is our A. So your formula says, all right, take your A, which is 2D, and square it, minus whatever B is. So here's B, which is 3. So minus that 3 squared. So when you do that, 2 squared is 4, and d squared is d squared, minus 3 squared is 9. Okay, if you want to check it, you can. Just for the time being, we're going to move on. All right, so for this one, okay, we have 3 and 3, so your formula says, all right, you take the 3 and you square it, minus whatever your b is. So you have 5q here, 5q here. So I'm going to rewrite this 5q and square it. Now we're going to simplify. 3 squared is 9, minus 5 squared is 25, q squared is q squared. And again, if you like doing the box method and want to do that, so you don't have to memorize the formula, you're more than welcome to. You'll get the same thing like we did on the first 3. Okay, so for this one, again, we have x. Oops, I don't want to do red right now. I'm going to do my green. There we go. So we have, there's x and x, which is your a. So your formula says, okay, you take whatever a is and you square it. Then you subtract whatever you have for your b from it. So I'm going to put my y and square it. Okay, well, x squared is just x squared. Y squared is just y squared. And that's it. Okay, I think almost halfway done. Okay, so for this one, you have 3y and 3y, so that is your a. So your formula says, okay, you take 3y and you're going to square it, minus whatever your b is. And my b is 8 and 8, so I'm going to put here 8 squared. Okay, so when you simplify that, 3 squared is 9, y squared is y squared, minus 8 squared is 64. And that's it. Okay, number 8, again, on number 8, your a is the x squared, and your b is the 1, so 1 and 1. So your formula says, okay, you take the a and you square it, and you subtract it from your b, which is 1, and that has to be squared. So when you simplify this, x squared squared, so 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 squared is 1. All right, number 9, highlight stuff first. I'm going to highlight what my a is. My a is m squared and m squared. My b is 5 and 5. So my formula says, okay, you're going to take whatever a is and square it. So m squared, all of that squared. And then you subtract from that your b squared. B is 5, square that. So m squared squared. 2 times 2 is 4, so that gives me m to the 4th power. And minus 5 squared is 25. All right, let's just do, let's see, we'll do 2 more. We'll do 10 and 11, and then we'll be done. Okay, so number 10. All right, I'm going to highlight my a and my b. So a is the 3x and the 3x. B is the 2y squared and 2y squared. So your formula says, you take whatever a is and you square it, so 3x squared. You subtract from that whatever b is, and you square it, so 2y squared squared. Okay, so don't forget, this is why we had to do those exponents in the last chapter. 3x squared, that's 3x times 3x. So 3 times 3 is 9. X squared, and this is just x squared. So you can think of it as 1 plus 1 is 2, or you can think of it 1 times 2 is 2. Minus, okay, 2y squared, all that squared is the same thing as 2y squared times 2y squared. So 2 times 2 is 4, so that's your 2 squared. Y squared times y squared, remember you can add those to get y to the 4th, or remember when you have a power to a power, you multiply 2 times 2 is 4. Alright, last one that we'll do. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my a and my b. So a is my 2p, and my b is 5r. Okay, so again, if you want to do your box method and all these, you can. I'm just going to use the formula because it's quicker. The formula says you take a, so that's 2p, and you square it, and then you subtract from that whatever b is squared. So b is 5r. I'm going to square that. So the very first thing I have is 2p squared, 2 squared, which is 2 times 2 is 4. P squared is just p squared. Minus 5r squared. So 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25, and then r squared, which is just r squared. And that is it. Okay, so those are the notes for this. If you have any questions, you can ask me in class.